Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. So what am I here to talk about today? So we've just released Pod Go. The iconic kidney bean pod came out originally in 1998. And I remember as a fresh-faced young man working in a music store and buying the very first original pod. And it was fantastic because it meant that I could actually record great guitar sounds at home without upsetting the neighbors, and at the time without upsetting my parents. So fast forward now to, 22 years later, and I've got a lot of grey hair and I'm a hell of a lot older. And we've been through all these different incarnations of pod, which leads us up to this one here. So over the last few years, we've integrated a lot of really cool things across a lot of the different products that we have. We have things like multicolored foot switches. Everybody seems to have a pretty good idea that if you have a green pedal, it's going to be a delay. Even if you're not a Line 6 user, I think myself and the rest of the Line 6 demo guys have preached about it so much that green is delay and blue is modulation, that everybody's kind of getting to grips with that now. So we have multicolored LED foot switches, so I can see at a glance exactly what kind of effect is sitting on those foot switches. We've got a nice big LCD screen. Again, it's all color-coded for all the effects in there. But Pod Go really is about an update in the modeling. We've updated all the models now. It's HX modeling, and there's 270 HX models from across the sort of range of HX products that we have. So that is the component modeling that we've been talking about for a while, and I'll just give you a few little amp model sounds, so you can hear just exactly what that's like. So that would give you a JTM 45 sound, a little bit like this. That sounds nice. Yeah, that sounds... Does everybody agree? Yay! Very, very dynamic sound. We also have our own range of models as well. So things like the litigator we brought out last year. Again, a very dynamic model. So now all this stuff is available in this Pod Go. What we also integrated was a thing called Snapshots that we've had for a little while now. Now, Snapshots enables you to have 4 different variations of each preset, which means that it can seamlessly change between different amp settings and different effect settings without any sort of glitch of moving between presets. Let's have a listen to a few more different... So snapshot number 2 here is just the Who What amp. And when I press pedal number A, snapshot number A, you're going to hear all of these different effects come in. And that's just with one foot press. So great quality amp sounds and great quality effects as well. The Fullerton amp. Maybe something a bit heavier. And then introducing a grey flanger. That sounds pretty good to me. Thank you. Some nice, clear chorusy sounds, Fender or deluxe sound. Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about the actual layout, the layout of this. Again, we have a nice clear LCD screen, colored screen. You can see very clearly that exactly what's going on in your signal chain. You can see the names of your effects. We also have 5 rotary encoders, so you can instantly get to the parameter that you want to change. We have 2 different modes on there. We have a play view, which is the one where you can actually go through and switch between all your presets. It's obviously more of a live setting, more of a play type setting. And then we have edit view, which is this here. So there you can see the signal path. Now there's 9 different blocks in each signal path. That signal path will always have an amp, it will always have a cab, and it will always have a volume, a wah, and an EQ. But you also have 4 flexible effects blocks where you can add any kind of effect that you want. So that could be 4 different types of delays, it could be multiple different types of distortions. Any of those blocks can be moved anywhere in the chain, and you've got a stereo effects loop on there as well that can be moved around as well if you want to do 4-cable method and things like that. The amp block also has preamp sounds, and the cab block also has impulse responses. So if you want to load impulse responses from somebody like Owen Hammer, you can go ahead and do that. On those 4 flexible blocks, this is where you're going to find the distortion, the dynamic effects, the EQ, the modulation, the delays, and the reverbs. Once you've scrolled along the top, sort of horizontally, you can then go down vertically and change all of those effects. So everything's very plug and play. It's for somebody who wants to just have everything in one box and be able to get out there and gig very, very quickly with with great sounds. Okay, around the back, everything that you'd expect. A couple of interesting things on there, though. We have a stereo effects loop. You can also add an expression pedal to that, or 2 sort of momentary foot switches. And this output here, sorry, is really interesting. The amp out, it's exactly the same as the main out, but you can get it to tap off a signal just before the cab block. And that would mean that your signal path would look something akin to that. So it's guitar input, straight into a normal amplifier, and obviously off into the console, onto the front of house. Okay, so I'm going to play another track now. Was using some of the older legacy effects, which are also in there. Let's see how this is. Okay, thank you very much. That pretty much concludes the end of that demo. If anybody got any questions, pop her over and see one of the guys, or see me, I'll be hanging around as well. So thank you very much.